I had an amazing conversation with Jamie about motherhood. And Jamie had the courage to come on to the podcast and share her story about a hard season in motherhood where she was a single mom and her and her son were pretty much homeless for a moment in time, but they always had a place to go. And there was financial hardship and just a really tough season. And I'm so impacted by Jamie's story because she truly broke through the rubble. She came out the other side that much stronger as a woman, as a mother. And I commend her because I feel like so many people, when they're in the hard or when they're in a season that they feel like, oh my gosh, I can't get out. How am I going to get out of this? We talked about how she was rejected from rental applications because she had her son. And she truly listens to her intuition. And unless she has a full body yes, she doesn't go for it. And I think that is so important. And we do dive into this a little bit about like mother's intuition and how important it is, and to truly listen to that as moms. And I love her story now and where she is today because it's such an impactful story of how you can literally turn lemons into lemonade. And she shared with me that a lotus actually grows from the mud. Didn't know that. And so like you can, when you're in the mud and you're in a hard season, you can make something very beautiful of that. And it's truly all about your mindset and how you see your circumstance, because you can play, victim to your circumstance, or you can see all the blessings and the opportunities that are coming from your circumstance, and truly to trust the process. Something I love that she said, and it's actually the title of this episode, is motherhood is truly the ultimate act of surrender. So please help me in welcoming Jamie to the podcast. Welcome to the Kindred Journey Podcast, the podcast where women share their experiences of stepping into courage when comfort is no longer an option. This is the podcast for connecting in community with women who have been shaped by the liberating to challenging seasons that life endures. I am your host, Leslie. I am a wife, mother, daughter, sister, and friend. I too have experienced these seasons in life, and I want you to know that you are surrounded by a community of courageous, real women here for you. I can't wait to connect, so grab your favorite beverage and join me on this kindred journey. Hi, Jamie. How are you today?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you being willing to connect with me and reach out and be a guest on the podcast.
Yeah,
We don't know each other too well, so I'm excited to hear more about your story and a little bit more about you. But if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit of an intro about yourself for the listeners here.
sure. Yeah, so I tend to think of myself as like a free spirit and a wild heart. So I moved to Los Angeles when I was 18 from Wisconsin without knowing anyone in LA, just kind of like on a whim, like, I want something different. I'm tired of these winters. And I'm still here 20 years later, which blows my mind. So I definitely I'm a generator in human design. So like I get that gut instinct and I just like move. I just trust it and I know when I go. And like similarly, 2 years ago, I left my corporate job after 18 years. Same thing, like no backup plan, not another job, just like it's not aligned with me anymore. It's not a full bodied yes anymore. Like I gotta go. And I trust that the path will unfold as I'm like making the right moves. So
I absolutely love that. I am a projector, so I wait for an invitation. So I'm a little bit different, but I love that, like you said, a full body yes. I think that is something that even though there is no plan, you truly have to just kind of step into that courage and that leap of faith and say, okay, what are we gonna do? So I can really admire that and respect that about you. And before we do get started, I'd like to share with everybody on that is guests, and then to remind the listeners that this is a sacred space for you to share your story. It takes vulnerability and courage to show up here. So everything that you do say is honored and respected. So I just want you to be able to show up in your authentic, true, full self here on the show today. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we kind of connected a little bit, but I would love for you to share a moment or a season in your life where you stepped into courage when comfort was truly no longer an option.
Yeah, I've had many, as I'm sure we all have. But I think the one that stands out the most is becoming a single mom when my son was 3. And again, not having any family support out here was challenging. But I pushed full steam ahead because it wasn't in alignment to be with my partner anymore, you know? And so shortly after becoming a single mom, I think part of the, um, I don't know, like the societal standards of like being a single mom or, not being able to make it work with my partner and like raising my son alone and all the pressures of like what it's supposed to look like. Um, I started numbing myself. And I was numbing myself with my partner when things were like going down before I actually left. But, I was like drinking at least a bottle of wine every night and just doing what I had to do to like, get by. And, looking back, I can see it so much clearly. Like in the moment, I had no idea I was like actually doing that. And about a year after becoming a single mom, I ended up getting a DUI, which was a huge wake up call for me. I was just like, wait, what? Like, even though I'd been going out and partying on the weekends with when my son was with his dad and, not thinking anything of it. And it was just like, oh my God, like I'm the responsible one out of our parents, and I'm like, I'm the one with the DUI. Like, this is insane. Um, and I still was very like hopeful and optimistic, like it's not going to be anything. And like, it ended up being like more than $10,000 in fines. And I just was no longer able to provide for my son and myself with those fees and ended up losing my driver's license for 30 days. So it was really a struggle trying to get to work and trying to get my son to daycare and, all the things. And we made it all work. And eventually I ended up paying for like my rent and gas and bills and everything on my credit cards. So luckily, I mean, I'm so grateful that I had the credit cards with higher limits that I was able to keep a roof over our head for as long as I did. But I unfortunately wasn't paying the credit cards because I didn't have the money. And so eventually that ended, and we ended up having to leave our place. And I was applying for other places, looking at other apartments, cheaper versions. And of course, I wasn't getting approved anywhere because my credit was down the tube from not paying my credit cards. And didn't have any money in the bank, so like I didn't really did have a consistent job, but it just wasn't enough. And looking at places and getting rejected. And what really kind of struck me then was getting rejected because I had a kid. Like so many people were like, oh, you have a son? No. I'm like, okay, you guys can't do that. I'm like, what? But, I'm moving forward. And I was at work one day and just saying like, oh yeah, I have to be out of my place by like the end of the week. And like, we have nowhere to go. And one of my coworkers, whom only had started working there maybe like 6 months before, and her and I weren't friends. We didn't have each other's numbers or anything. She was just in the office with me, and she overheard, and she's like, "Oh, you and your son can move in with me." I'm like, "What? Like into your 1 bedroom apartment? Like, okay, And I'm just like, "Cool. Like, I'm down. I don't know anything about this girl, but." It's part of like my trusting with life and just knowing like she was put into my path for this reason, and so sure enough, my son and I moved in with her in her 1 bedroom apartment, sleeping in a little blow up mattress in the living room for I think about 2 months. We stayed there with her until I could save up enough money and start to restore my credit until I could get approved to get my own place again. So, I mean, looking back, it's interesting because, like, in the moment, I never realized that we were homeless because we always had a place. We always had a roof over our head. It's not until like looking back at my story that I'm like, oh my God, like we didn't have anywhere to go. Like, and of course, also in hindsight, I'm like, I could have went home to Wisconsin, like my parents would have gladly taken us in. And it wasn't even a thought in my mind. Like I just knew we would be fine. Like our path will sort out, And so fast forward, now several years later, I was able to leave my corporate job. I saved over $100,000 in the bank, and I met my dream man. That's just incredible. Just, better than you could ever imagine. Like you write down all your things and then like he shows up and you're like, what? It's not what I imagined. And then the heart like radiates so bright and you're like, it's
Yeah, no.
been,
That's so amazing. And I think so many things I'd love to just kind of touch on, especially something that you said about, that you were, you were technically homeless, even though you did always have a place to go somewhere. And I think that like you said, your parents would have gladly welcomed you with open arms, but you chose to stay. And I think sometimes, like you said, you've always been a trust your gut kind of person. And sometimes we do want to take the safety raft, or like when we're in it and it's heavy and it's hard and we truly feel like there is no way out, but to hold on and to persevere and see it through versus taking, I don't want to say the easy road. It's everybody's path and journey is different, but like you said, it wasn't even an option in your mind for whatever reason. You just knew that it was going to work out and you were going to get to the other side of this hard time. And I really, truly commend you for that because like I said, some people would be like, nope, I'm out. I'm going home. This is too hard or, but I feel like it truly built a part of your character and about, and your story and about where you are today.
yeah,
And especially being able to save $100,000, that's amazing. And to leave your corporate job. I mean, just wow. I hope you've taken time to recognize that and to truly embrace your journey.
yeah, I have. Like actually just within this last summer, it's really started to hit me because this is my second year, starting my own business and working for myself and trying to, get some consistency and like, all the things that takes time. And I realized this past summer I was meditating and, asking for like, I need more structure and I really want freedom. Like I feel like we all seek freedom, like in our lives. And so I was like, oh yeah, I just want freedom, And then I realized in my meditation, I have so much freedom in my life right now that I just started crying. I just started sobbing because my son, who's 14 now, um, just started high school last week, but he had a volleyball camp this summer that they'd started training for high school, and it was 4 hours a day, and from 2 to 6 p.m. And then he also volunteered in the morning at this beach camp, and so I had like a total pinch me moment of like, okay, so I can take him to beach camp in the morning from like 10 to noon. I can pick him up, we can go grab lunch, and I can take him to volleyball from 2 to 6. And I was like, I would have never been able to do this 5 years ago. Like this is my dream life. This is my freaking dream life. Like I get to be present with my baby, like when all of that stuff was happening when he was 3, 4, 5, 6, when I was working at the corporate job, like I was dropping him off at school at the before school program, the 6 a.m., going to work, an hour, hour and a half drive, and not picking him up until 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. And, I think that's why I was like numbing and drinking because I'm like, oh my God, I'm only spending like 2 hours a day with my baby, like he's with the school workers like 12 plus hours a day. And it's like, it's heartbreaking, but it's like, you got to do what you got to do. It's a blessing to be able to have that, so that I can work and that I can provide. But just now being in this season of like presence, it's just so beautiful. And I'm just like, I have the freedom, even though my business isn't like soaring, it's just like, but I have the freedom to be with my family, and like it's so much better than like a $1 million business. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, something for us all to like take a step back and recognize, and kind of sounds like you're doing that, soaking in I love what you said, you're in the seasons of presence. And maybe that's what success looks like for you. Like you said, you don't have $1 million business, but success looks different to everybody. Some people it is the Ferrari and the car, but like what you just shared about having the freedom to go take your son to from a volunteer project, which is amazing, and then to a volleyball camp and to have lunch with him in between. Like you said, you could have never done that. And there are seasons of sacrifice, you know, where, or survival, or things that you have to get through to get to the other side. And I'm sacrificing holding my little baby with his squeaky toy, if everybody can hear that. So it's just part of the season of my life. Like he's not on a sleep schedule. So we're, you know, we're doing this anyways. We're showing up authentically. So I think, but what you just said about being in the seasons of presence, I think is just beautiful, not just beautiful, but like just so impactful, because truly I think we all could use a little bit of slowdown. And we're in such a fast-paced world with technology and social media and all these things that consume our minds and our lives, that we just don't know how to turn it off sometimes. And so I think embracing that, and like you said, you're creating in this season space and capacity for yourself to truly receive, I guess. And that's something that we've kind of touched on a few episodes lately about receiving. Like it takes courage to receive, and you received your coworker's invitation willingly to like help you get caught back up, because what, like you said, a space that you were in, like you didn't even know how it happened. It happened so fast. And I mean, to come out of something like that, or to just kind of quit, you know, it's, you persevered through that. And I think that is something that is it takes strength and it takes courage to do. And also I'd love to touch on like the drinking piece. Like you said, I was drinking a bottle of wine a day, and you know, the wine o'clock, and especially with moms of littles, like it's something that is hyped about on reels or what, you know, like social media and all the things. And it's like, but it shouldn't have to be this way, I don't think. But it is a sticky, slippery slope that I have found myself in. And I've actually been not drinking for the last 30 plus days. And just I don't want to. I can't right now. I'm in a season of single parenting as well. And I have to be on 24/7, 7 days a week. So it's just, it was not contributing to the overall health of my family and my overall health either, and sleep and all the things. So I'd love to just kind of touch maybe a little bit, if you wanted to enhance on that, if you're comfortable with sharing
Yeah.
your journey with like discovering and having the self-awareness, and then maybe this isn't fitting me, or how that turned out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, it being normal in the beginning, because growing up, like I watched my parents drink every night. They got home from work, they had a drink. My dad drank beer, my mom made a cocktail every night. They would sit and watch TV and drink until they went to bed. And it was normal. Like it wasn't abusive, it wasn't chaotic, like they just drank and they went to sleep, you know? And so seeing that, that was normal for me. So when I started feeling the symptoms of overwhelm or burnout, or like, oh my God, I have no control over my life, I have to be on 24/7. It's exhausting, you know, like you just need a break. And so obviously alcohol can take the edge off of that, you know, and just like, yeah, just a little like loosen you up a little bit. And you're like, oh, okay, I can forget about the million things in my mind that I hold every single day as a mama. Um,
Yes.
and it just kind of feels good, you know, and you don't really realize it's a problem until it's a problem. And then it's like,
Right.
fuck, like I can't, I mean, I see my Facebook memories come up and I cringe. I'm like, my God, like I went back to school after I had my son, and I'm like, I have pictures on my Facebook memories that come up of like studying for my exam, and I have a bottle of vodka and a shot glass in my hand. And I'm
Mm,
like, wow, like it's a miracle. I made it through college, raising my baby, like, wow. Um, but yeah, to the point of just taking it all on as mamas. And I know for me personally, I really felt like I lost my identity after becoming a mom. And felt like my whole entire life was dedicated to this being, which it is, like I'm responsible for keeping this human alive, for all of his needs. Like that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of weight on my back. And that was hard. It was hard to hold. And then it was kind of like, who am I anymore? Am I an individual without my son? Or am I only me and my son now? Um, and so that was kind of like hard grappling with. And now, 14 years later, I see that it's so important to just maintain your individuality and your identity as a mama, and know that although you are providing, you're feeding, you're doing all the things, like to still have your passions and your hobbies and your self-care and like whatever it is that lights you up personally, that fills your heart up and fills your cup up. Because as mamas, like we just give and give and give and give and give and give and give. And especially like in the season now you're in with your husband being away, and like you have no one that's giving to you, like there's no reciprocal action. And how are you receiving? Like you receive love for your babies, right? But like it's not the same
Right.
like getting that peace at the end of the night when they're sleeping and you're like, my wine.
Right. Right. And like you said, it just alcohol helps you detach from the mom brain, all the overwhelm, all the things on in your head. But it is a disassociation. Like it is not, ironically, like happy hour is not so happy, or socially like brings people together. And same, I grew up in a family where like it was a beer, or, but it wasn't an unhealthy environment or anything like that. But it's just, like I said, I noticed myself being in the season that I am and having to be on 24/7. I was snapping. I was getting short. I was like, what? And yes, of course, I'm tired and this is a hard season, but it's also like I could be better. I could be a better mom. I could be a better I could be a better Leslie. It's not just and like I can totally emphasize and relate to what you're saying is like losing your identity as a mom. Who am I as Jamie, and who am I as Leslie? Truly it's truly that's why this podcast came along, because I couldn't have the social interaction that I did before having kids, and especially in the summertime when I am the only person here. It is definitely it's hard to have that human connection, talk to other adults and have that human connection. So that's actually kind of how the podcast started, was because I came a mom. So actually finding my new identity in becoming a mom, I feel like is a very huge and important part of my story and my journey. And we change. And like you said, I think we're all cringeworthy at our like Facebook memories, 10 plus years ago. It's like, oh, I used to have eyeshadow that matched like the color of my necklace or my shirt, or like all the matte colors. Like I was like, what? And I like don't even wear makeup. It's just so funny how you truly do. You change in your seasons, and you grow. And I think it's it's enlightening to hear, like you said, you're you have you are creating your new identity as yourself through your self-discovery of becoming. If it wasn't for you becoming a mom, you probably wouldn't have had that aha moment, I guess, and that self-discovery journey after becoming a mom, and the next chapter of Jamie, not,
Right.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. And like you just hit on like integration of your identity with motherhood. It's like I feel like I let motherhood just take me over in the beginning, because it's just kind of what happens, like especially if you're like breastfeeding, and like it's a lot. And so I just kind of got lost in that. And then it was just like, okay, who am I? But like to your point, like integrating and then being like, oh, okay, I can still be me, and I can be a mama and provide. And what does that look like? Because it looks so different, right? Like we're not the same. We're never the same as we were before we had kids, like never.
No,
So it's like
absolutely not.
it's a new evolved integrated self that takes some time to like get to know, and the balance, and like the 24/7. And something else you touched on was the guilt, and that's so real. And I think I still have moments of it, of course, but like more so back when my son was 5, 6, 7, and like being short, and losing your temper, and then like I'd put him to bed and I just feel so bad for yelling, you know? And it's just like, why can't I control myself? Like, why do I have to end the night like being mad at him, you know? And then the mom guilt just like eats you alive. And you're like, okay, wine, let's go, you know? But it's a lot. It's mamahood is not for the weak.
It's not. And it's like, man, we're awesome. Look at all the things that we can do in a day's time. And like I love what you're saying. You're enjoying this season of being present because what is the saying? Like the days go by fast, but the years are fast, but the days are long. And I think, sometimes we get in that headspace or that mindset, especially in the early ages, especially I used to be such an active doer, hiking, mountain bike, all outdoors stuff and go, go, go. And I really had to like pull in the reins when I became a mom. And I'm like, like I can't, when are we going to be able to do the fun stuff and teach him how to ski and do so for this like early stage, but I'm truly soaking it up that much more with the second one versus my first. I was like, okay, hurry up, get to the next milestone and sit up and crawl. And now I'm like, oh wait, take it back. I don't like I have to watch you now and every move you make, So I just truly I feel like it is its own path and own journey. And everybody is all individually different and in their season of motherhood. And I think you like you said, you kind of have that intuition, that trust gut of what of what's best, or even if you're kind of going into something blindly. And I think that's also something that is not touched on or respected enough is a mother's intuition and what is best for my baby. I know it's best for my baby, not the pediatrician, not the doc, like you see how many patients a day, a week, a year, and it's like, but I'm with this baby every single day. And so I just think that's something also that you knew you were safe. You were keeping your baby safe, going and living at a stranger, somebody you worked with that you didn't really know that well. You're like, but we're going to be okay. And so I think to just honor also that part of us as mothers, like in our intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely very strong and not everyone understands it. But as long as you're like, you know yourself and your sense of self and you're true. And it's kind of like I notice like as I've gotten older, it's just like, I don't care what people think. Like when you're younger, you care more of like, oh, well, what are they gonna think if I do this? And now it's just like I don't care. Like I know what's best and like that's the way I'm moving. And you don't need to agree with me. And I don't care if you like it. Like it just is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so interesting because as moms, and I think we're too busy to care about what other people think. They're too busy thinking about themselves anyways. It's like, but in high school, and like and I'm sure since your son is especially starting high school, you want to have friends, you want to be liked, you want to belong, but losing sight of who you are and your identity and your authenticity, sometimes, the lines get blurred, especially in that teenage kind of figuring out who I am as an individual and as a person going into early adulthood. It can get blurred, the lines can get blurred a little bit of losing sight of your true authentic self to try and belong to some group or to some friend, and I think I love how grounded you are and how present you're being with your son and intentional you're being with him, because I think that's going to carry him a long way, especially in that season of childhood and going into, like I said, and I feel like this day and age with phones and social media and oh my gosh, I'm like, I just had the Nokia snake phone, like the green light, like, it's just like, it's too much. Like be kids, enjoy, play, create, be creative, go be a kid versus like somebody I was listening to was like, oh, I had to turn my location off so you couldn't see where I was at. And I was like, are you even listening to your like, like to their friend, like they were surprising them or something. And I was like, is this how the world works these days? Like, I'm just so naive. I'm just like over my head with a lot of this stuff. But truly, like I feel like kind of what you said, you lose sight of who am I, but also in that navigating this season of your motherhood journey, you're but how do I say this? Sorry, I'm getting off topic, but like learn by doing. Like he's going to see how you're leading your life right now, and I hope and my prayer is for your son is to like to replicate that to emulate that from you as his mom.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I definitely see him going through the, try, do I fit in with these people? Do I fit in with those people? And like, well, if I put this mask on, these people respond that way. And if I wear this mask, and just reminiscing of being a teenager and going through high school and doing all the same things, and trying to find your tribe and, the things and just, yeah, just trying to keep him grounded and centered and like, just be authentic. And when you are, your light glows so brightly that it attracts the people that are meant to come to you. When you're wearing the mask, you can't attract the true authentic people to you because you're not being authentic. Um,
Absolutely. And I think our mentor, she says, how about you project your energy instead of trying to protect it? And like you said, kind of be the light,
yeah.
and everybody will follow and hopefully come, or the right people will. So, yeah, no, that's amazing. I think your story is so impactful, especially for, I'm hoping somebody's listening out there that's in the season that, I'm not hoping that they're in the season that you were, but just if they can listen to this and truly know that like I can I can turn this around. Cause I think like we were talking a little bit earlier, is like being in it and being in the thick of the storm and not seeing a way out, or knowing that there is a way out. How did you kind of navigate? I guess maybe I would love for you to answer this. I'm not going to project anything, but how did you see a way out of the storm?
Um, for me, it's all about your mindset, and we can create a million different scenarios with our mindset. So if we think, oh, it's all doom and gloom, like I'm $50,000 in credit card debt, there's no way I can get out of this, then I'm absolutely right, and I won't, you know? However, on the flip side, if I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful that I have these credit cards with such high limits that I can put this much on them, that I can keep a roof over our head. How can it get better than this? And it's just the quality of your questions that you're asking and your mindset, because that really determines what we see, it determines our reality. So it's just knowing that you can be in the mud, right? But the lotus flower grows out of the mud. So, like, you're going to be in the mud in your life. No one escapes the mud, right? Like, this is our human experience. Like, we have a range of it all. And so I think ultimately it's just trusting the process, 100% trusting the process, knowing that whatever season I'm in, there's a reason. There's a reason, there's a purpose. What am I learning here? How can I get out of it? Like, what can I get out of this? What can I learn? What's the lesson? What's the blessing? Like, I'm always trying to talk and communicate with the universe, meditating, waiting for the answers to come, and just knowing that everything is happening for my highest good. Even when I don't know in the moment what that is, like, I have no idea. I know in hindsight, I'll realize it and I'll grow and I'll evolve and I'll be better because of it.
Yeah, I think that's also very true. And like you said, it is truly about your mindset and how you look at the world and how you look at things and circumstances. Because like you said, it is part of our human experience. We are suffering here on earth. Like that's part of the human experience. We're meant to suffer. And you have to, somebody else I've talked to on my podcast, is she talked about grief. Well, love is the opposite side of grief. And, you wouldn't know what joy and happiness is if you didn't know what sadness and sorrow is, so it's truly like, to embrace the good, you have to know what not as good feels like, less than good. So I think everything that you said was so, and I love that part about the mud, because yes, there are parts, beautiful parts of the mud, like lotus flowers. I didn't know that they grew in the mud. So that's my fun fact for the day. That's awesome. Well, thank you, and trust the process. Yes, I think like what you said at the beginning of just speaking with you is you have the heck yes, the full body yes, I think is what you called it. And I think um to listen to your intuition and your gut, and to also trust the process when you are in those moments or those seasons of hard, because it will end, just like the sleepless nights will end, just like I just got spit up on, and he of course pooped his diaper right as we got started, so I'm selling that too. So it's just like, yes, this will end, but I will look back and reflect, and still lived my life. I still showed up for myself in this season. And I'm just grateful that you have such an impactful story and a beautiful, and you turned your life around, and mindset was the key. And I think you're like you said, you're not at the ideal spot maybe in your business, but you've created the space for it. You've set it up, you're practicing presence, you're doing all the things. And I think it's just, I'm so excited to see where you go.
You. Thank you so much. It's been so lovely coming on and connecting with you and even just seeing where you are in the season of your life and sending you so much love because I know
Thank you.
how hard it is.
Yes. I commend single parents. I mean, I just like it truly, like this season has been gratifying, rewarding, hard, like so hard. I was just talking to somebody earlier and they're like, "Oh, what was the favorite memory of this summer?" And I'm like, I had to go back in my camera roll and like look because I was like, I don't think I have a favorite memory because it was all hard. Like, and I mean that in the sense of like we went to my cousin's wedding and I'm so grateful that we were able to go and make the trip, but flying to Colorado with two kids under two and driving to the mountains and going to a wedding where, it was hard and we didn't get to enjoy ourselves necessarily because we were chasing kids around. Like it would have been better if we could have brought our nanny or, or brought a sitter or somebody like with us. But like it was all really great. I don't have a favorite. I just was absorbing. I got extra maternity leave this summer. So I was able to be home with them for an extra 8 weeks, which was such a blessing. Like that was my favorite part. It was all of it because there were peaks and valleys this summer, but it was all, and then just trying to embrace the season that I'm in versus like having a fixed expectation behind, well, I used to go camping like this, or I used to go to weddings like this. I'm in a new chapter too. So this is what my current situation looks like. And to make the most fun out of, like, fun looks different than it did 10 years ago on our Facebook memories, I'm sure both of us. So
Yeah. I like to think of motherhood as like the ultimate act of surrender because
hmm
so many plans and we can make so many schedules and life just unfolds as it will, and it's like it's the ultimate act of just learning how to surrender, learning how to let go, learning how to release control and trust the process. It's like could make the grandest plans, but the universe's plans are always better. They're always better and they're always so much more beautiful. And I think just learning these past 2 years of not having a 9 to 5, there's been so much space in my life and just like freedom. And I actually went back to my job. They contract me now to work through my business, which is amazing. So I come back once in a while and offer some holistic healing for them. And I saw one of my old coworkers and she's like, "What have you been doing? You look amazing." She's like, "Did you just get a facial?" I'm like, "No." She's like, like, what do you, I was like, "I'm just at home. I'm like doing what I love. Like, I'm just happy. Like, I'm happy, deeply, deeply happy." And I think that's what radiates out. I'm not, I just remember the 9 to 5 and the working and not seeing my son. And you're just kind of like grudging through life, like, oh, I'm doing what I got to do. And like you said earlier, you're sacrificing. Absolutely. We all go through that, but it's hard to be, I'm sure you can find the deep, deep happy in that. But like you said, this summer it was hard. It's hard, and like that's all 100% valid because we have to feel the hard to feel the beauty, and the bliss, and all of that magic. And like, I know like my son being 14 now and thinking like, oh my gosh, I only have 4 more years with him before he's an adult. And being here now and just being able to be more present with him, even though most of the time he'd rather be with his friends now.
hmm
And he's like on his phone and like playing video games and he doesn't want to spend as much time with me anymore, but he still does. We still have a really good connection. But now it's starting to feel like this phase of motherhood is just feeling like the slowest breakup of my life. I know. And so it's like it definitely feels like sad and I'm trying to like still feel the presence that I do have but it's like just knowing like, oh my gosh, like he's gonna leave soon and like I won't see him every day. And then like, okay, presence, like right here, I still have him every day, and just like taking that in rather than getting lost like 4 years down the road. But
It's hard. My sisters are 14 and 16 years older than me. So my nephews are and niece are 14 to 22. So my one sister is kind of having the same pulse with, she's like, he's doing his own things. Like for his birthday, he went camping with his friends versus like they all used to go camping, together as a family. So she could relate to that. So I can empathize with both of you because it is a different season of hard, right? Like you said, what I am going through is hard, yes. But like you said, the longest, slowest breakup of your life, like that's hard too. So it's all hard, but it's like I said, it's the best, hardest thing I've ever done. And I wouldn't trade anything for it in the world. So
Same. I feel the exact same way. As hard as it was, it's just like it's cracked me open like so wide. Like I used to be
mm,
so closed off and so protected and like not trusting, and now I'm just like, here I am. Like
mm.
it really is so beautiful. It really
It
is so
kind of makes you feel invincible. Like if I can do this, if I can do the diaper changes and still work and have a podcast on the side and it's like I can do hard things. I can do a lot of hard things at one time. And like you said, the breastfeeding, it's like that's a full-time job in itself. And then you're running a household and making sure food is on the table and working a job like you said, like you're doing all these things and it's like how did I ever think I was busy before kids? I truly am like, I remember saying, oh, I'm so busy. And I hold the space for my friends that don't have kids yet, but it's like, yeah, I've been there. I get you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man. Okay. Well, looking back, hindsight 2020, what would you have told your old self knowing what you know now?
I think it would still be to trust the process,
Mm,
trust the season you're in, know that the divine timing of the universe makes no mistakes. Even when you don't understand it in the moment, it's all unfolding exactly as it should for your highest good and everyone's highest good involved.
mm,
And just, yeah, taking your hand off the wheel and knowing that like you're co-creating with something way more intelligent and divine than you. And when we think that we're the only ones in control and we're gripping the wheel, it's like, oh, I got to do this. it's like stressful and there's anxiety and you're like, ah. But like when you let go, it's just like, oh my God, I'm still going the right way. And I can lay back and it's like easeful and like can play and
mhm.
yeah, it's just trusting the process.
I love that. Control is an illusion, and the energy that it takes to feel like you're in control is exhausting.
It is. And we're never really in control. Like you said,
No,
it's an illusion. Like it's,
it's not. Yeah. Because once you think you're on it and you have it, and then it's like, psych, and we're going to shift gears.
mhm. Yeah.
We're going to turn the car this way. Like you said, take your hands off the wheel. So I'm so grateful that we were able to connect and have this conversation. And I can't wait to share it because I think it's truly insightful, especially if somebody is in a true season of hard in motherhood, in financial struggles, and you can take any part of this conversation and it applies to any season, any topic, any part of life that you want to apply it to. I think, like you said, your mindset, trusting the process, all of those things can get you through any hard season, whatever that looks like for you. So thank you, Jamie, so much. And if you don't mind just sharing where listeners can follow you or reach out to you if they would love to connect with you, learn more about your business.
Absolutely. I do have a YouTube channel where I upload like new meditations, weekly affirmations, little rituals that I like to do. And then also my website is myholisticwell.com. I actually am partnered with a hospital to bring together a course for new mamas, kind of like what we were talking about to help integrate the identities of your old self and your new self and try to make that transition a little bit smoother with some
Mm.
tools and techniques and resources and just like, help with what the heck am I doing here?
Yeah,
So
it's so important.
yeah. Um, so that link, I believe, is on my website. The sign up is
Okay.
through the organization, but I think I have it on my website as well.
Okay, great. Well, I'll be sure to include that in the show notes.
Thank you. It's been so great talking to you.
Yes, Jamie, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks so much. You too.
Thank you for joining me and listening to the Kindred Journey Podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please consider taking the time to rate and review the podcast and share this episode with family and friends who you think might enjoy it. Your positive feedback helps me reach more courageous women like you. This is my passion project, so without you, I wouldn't be here doing this, and I deeply appreciate your support. Until next time.